Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Here behind me I have the '07 Murano that I worked on for the oil change. Today I'm going to be changing the spark plugs. In order to change these spark plugs, the entire intake manifold has to be taken off, and in this video I'm going to show you step by step how to do that. So let's go ahead and get started. Here we continue with the 2007 Nissan Murano. The rear spark plugs that go underneath this intake plenum have to be removed. So we're going to remove these 4 bolts here, this engine cover, to remove this, and then take off this air intake box. Remove this clamp here, remove that clamp there. This whole box should come out. We'll remove the mass airflow sensor, remove this whole air box out of the way so we can get to the plenum, start taking off pieces so we can pull this out and take the entire plenum off. This, to replace these 3 spark plugs on the back, the top of the motor has to come apart. It is quite a job. Okay, one of my first little steps here is I remove the bolt here from this vacuum switch. These hoses are connected to other actuating switches here and here. This one, when I put it back together, I'm gonna have to put a clamp on that because that falls off too quick, and that might cause a leak. So we're gonna remove here, remove this unit out of the way, remove this bolt, remove this unit out of the way, and remove this plastic over here. I'm explaining what I'm doing, but also in an hour or two, when I forget and try to put this thing back together, I will remember because it's on video. Okay, right here. I'm gonna disconnect the sensor here. I'll disconnect this hose from the right behind the throttle body, and I'll disconnect here so I can remove this vacuum switch so it's just out of the way, because I know that all this stuff is right there. I don't want to play with it too. I don't want to disconnect too much stuff or stuff that I don't need to. Maybe I could just disconnect this and push this out of the way. Oh yeah, I could probably do that. Just disconnect this hose. I'm going to push this out of the way so it's out of the way so I can continue working on the intake plenum. And I know that there's I've got to disconnect 2 10mm bolts that are in the back that are holding a hose back there. So let me get to that. Okay. From this canister, this hose will run here to the intake manifold. I'm just going to pull this to the side. And from this vacuum switch right here, I'm going to connect to this piece right here. I'm going to disconnect here. I'm recording this so I don't mix up these 2 lines later on, and just move these out of the way. So hope to move the entire intake manifold now. Also gonna need to probably disconnect this hose. I don't know if it's gonna be through here or down more toward the engine block where the hose runs to, and disconnect this throttle body here, disconnect this, and there's one more line underneath the manifold. Let me see if I could loosen the manifold first, then I could make it maybe get to it, or follow that hose and connect it from where it starts. And I'm gonna start on these bolts on the manifold because I can already see injector number, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 or 6, one in the back underneath the manifold. I can almost get to it right now, so let's hurry up and get this done. Okay, I want to thank all my fellow YouTubers on the internet. This plenum was not coming off. It turns out right here behind this throttle body, a few inches in on the back side underneath, there are 2 12mm bolts. That's what's holding this plenum down. Luckily or unluckily, this car has been worked on. It only had 1 bolt, and it wasn't on very tight. So whoever it was, they put 1 bolt in, gave up on it, and take it. So now after taking off those 2, you're gonna have to feel your hand behind the throttle body. At about this point, you'll feel 2 12mm bolts on a little bracket. That bracket holds the plenum to the motor to keep it from vibrating because it hangs over the engine here. So now that that's off, this thing's almost ready to come off. So let's go ahead and pick up my phone case so it doesn't get lost. And I'm gonna pull off the plenum. Sí. Todo eso. Pull this up. Now it moves. Jesus, what a difference. Okay, so now I have access to this hose in the back that I'm not going to disconnect because it goes to the brake booster. The entire hose goes to the brake booster, so I'm going to disconnect from here because it's a lot easier than disconnecting here when I have to put it all back together. But pretty much this is all off. I'm going to go over the final little hoses that are holding on. This hose here on the throttle body and a hose under here underneath the plenum. So I want to pull the whole thing off because I want to change this gasket here, because once you do this, I highly recommend changing the gasket. Don't be cheap. It's going to cause a lot of problems and headaches later down the line. So we're going to pull the whole plenum off, get these last two little hoses off, make sure that I haven't broken any connectors, and get the rest of this plenum off. And here we are with the plenum removed. Now, I do have it only to the side. I'm gonna have to address this hose. I think I'm gonna cut it a couple millimeters, bring it on in. The hose seems to be okay. I don't have any other hose to change it with, or I might be able to leave it like that. I don't know. Okay, I didn't want to disconnect a hose that was running underneath the throttle intake because it's just it doesn't look that great. I don't want to mess with it right now. It was more than enough fun just to get to these spark plugs. So go ahead and change these spark plugs out, change this intake manifold on, and start putting it back together and addressing these small little teeny tiny issues that we do have here. But yeah, let's keep going. Here we are with the 4 ignition coils. The ignition coils connected to the new spark plugs that we just installed. The old spark plugs, they don't look terrible. Turns out these are actually really good NGKRs. I hope you can see that. Probably not. And it doesn't seem like it. Anyway, NGKRs. It's actually very decent spark plugs. Spark plugs, I think they're burning fairly well for a car of this age. See if it brightens up. Don't move. Hopefully I don't mess up your shirt. Decent. With how old this engine is running, the spark plugs look like they're in very good shape, which shows how well the engine was running. So change these front 3 and we can start reassembling. Okay. Like I mentioned before, the first set of spark plugs is in with their coil packs. Now the second ones are in. I'm going to tighten down these 3 bolts. Just really loose. They don't even have to go in hard. Perfect. So all 6 spark plugs are officially in with their coil packs. I'm going to leave this covered up. The plenum is here to the side. I have a new gasket for that. We'll go ahead and put that on tomorrow because I have a dinner date. Got to take the kids out and meet some family members for a birthday. And the most important part is that all the spark plugs are done. And we'll put this all back together. Now, this is like other projects I worked on. Difficult, yes. Impossible? No, not really. As long as you have patience, don't rush, try not breaking anything, do a little bit of a research of what you need to disconnect, what needs to be changed, just in case. See if you have to pick up any hoses to change. Since you're already here, might as well already change it. Maybe puede ser que vamos a cambiar eso. We're gonna probably change this hose since it's already off. It's easier when it's off like this. But everything else looks all good here. So I'm gonna leave this here and do the rest tomorrow. Gasket that we're gonna put here because it's always going to change. We'll just leave it there, and we'll continue again tomorrow. This turned out to be pretty good because these spark plugs are in really good shape. It means that the motor is still, even after all these years, has plenty of life left in it. These Nissans are very reliable, and it's a really good engine. She's not slow for a big girl, and even for her age. So it is quite a vehicle.
Este un capacitor.
No, it's a vacuum tank. That is a vacuum tank for something. We'll figure it out when we put it back together. Bye. All right, here we are the next day. I went ahead and addressed this hose because I just did not like it. So since the hardest part is taking this plenum off, we went ahead and changed the hose. It runs to the brake booster that runs along the firewall into the brake master cylinder, brake booster back here. Brand new hose, because the more I kept cutting the old hose, the more it kept disintegrating on me. It was all caramelized and charcoaled up. Put a brand new intake gasket here. You see it's all green. The previous one was black. Go ahead and put this plenum back on and start putting this all back together. And just as a reminder, because I honestly forgot, this hose that I did change, it's right here to this new hose, nice and pliable, very flexible. Don't forget this hose that connects right here, because once you put this plenum on, because I just did put the plenum on, you can't get to this hose. You have to put this on before you bolt down the plenum. So this hose goes connected to right here, so we're going to do that right now, and then put the plenum back on. So I'm going to have it out at an angle, connect the hose, then put the plenum back on. Put it away so I'm not touching that gasket. It's got to be closer. Ooh, it's got to be really close. There's just no way around it. Put it back on. Oops, oops, I see you. It's kind of on. Oh, here we go. Oh, good, 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 good. Push it on. I'll get the clamp on it. Remember, don't forget to put this on or you will be in a world of hurt. Note to self, I need to buy smaller pliers. Yeah. Okay, so perfect. I did connect. Oh. It is so difficult to see back there. Can you see it? Can you see it? Okay, I did it with the manifold off. I did it with the manifold with the plenum out at an angle, much as I could, because the hose is only that long. I was able to get it on. I had to change the clamp that was on it. It was too small, so I got a larger diameter clamp because the hose is too big. That's why whoever worked on this before only pushed the hose on. They couldn't get the clamp on because the clamp was too small. I have extra clamps in my toolbox, so I put the larger clamp on. Hose is completely on, fully clamped. That will never come off. It runs against the firewall there. You'll see part of the metal going against the firewall here. There it is back there. It'll go up, down, around, into that connector hose, and into the brake booster here. Matter of fact, I'm gonna move that hose. Just notice that it should be moved down a little more. Working tools with one hand always sucks. Push down there so it's a little better. Very happy with that now. Now I can bolt down the plenum one more time. Here are these 3 bolts in the front, 2 on the sides, and the 2 in the back. So that's what holds down the plenum, and then we'll begin connecting the electrical wires that go around. Oh man, here we go.
Así como que. No, no, tengo que poner así. Así, ¿no?
All right, so the plenum's back on. I put 1 bolt in, it went very easy. The 2 bolts that are right here on the underside of the throttle body will be right behind here. There's another hose and a bracket that this other second bolt that it did not have is going to go through. So literally fish it in here. Here's the 1 bolt, and then the one next to it. I'll have to feel around because you can't see a thing. Here's the bolt. And if you hear me cursing, it's because I dropped the bolt. Oh, I think it went in with the bracket. Tightening. This is what's going to hold the back side of the plenum. So I was wondering how this worked. And those 2 bolts are in. So now I'll go ahead and put
About
here in the plenum. Bolt here. Bolt here. Three bolts in the front. Go ahead, start tightening all this down. Now let me double check, see if there's a torque spec for this plenum, and I'll come right back to you. But basically, this plenum's on, so we'll just have to reconnect here, the throttle body, this hose here. And there's another mystery hose flying around here somewhere, which will be this guy here. This is gonna connect in here. 1, 2, 3, everything hooked up. Yeah. And not look at the phone while I do this because I don't want to drop this bolt. Goes in here. It's gonna leave it loose, so I can start tightening everything down. All right. All right. So I believe by going back through my old videos, I have the correct vacuum lineup. I put some clamps on them. So I don't know why they didn't have clamps. So I went ahead and put some clamps. Put the canister back on. Hoses are hooked up correctly. I put the air box in. I took it out in one piece, but I'm gonna put it back separate because it was just too hard to put all back together. We're running out of light, but I do believe I have all the vacuum lines hooked up, brake lines hooked up, radiator hoses that I disconnected. They should be all back together, and just put the air box in and give it a turn and see how we do.
lo cojo por aquí. Así. Ahí. No, no, es siempre así. Él te prende rapidísimo.
Okay, that was a nice quick startup. I really like the way that turns on. I'm gonna let it run to temperature, and then take a quick spin around the block. But as far as I can tell, I think we are all done. It's running really good too. Spark plug and an oil change for the air filter. Looks have done the trick. One hell of a job, but I mean, with patience, you can do anything. Just take your time, go over your steps. Recording like those vacuum lines that I completely forgot how to do by recording, going over the video again to figure out where they went. It turned out really well. So, take this around the block, see how it goes. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the next video.